going on, everybody? We are tuning in to another edition of the Droid Masterclass, brought to you by Droid Island and Huawei. And today we have none other than Devon X Scott, who is going to be giving us some tips on smartphone videography. Now, I know all of you guys have some of the best technology, best tech devices on the market right now, and you guys are going to be taking a lot of pictures and a lot of video. Especially since it's carnival season, we know that everyone's going to be shooting, their phones are going to be out shooting whatever they want to shoot for the carnival season. So Devon is here to give us some tips on how to get the best video for you guys on a smartphone. Devon, welcome to the class.
Thanks for having me on.
All right, so you are one of the best in the business in Trinidad. If you guys haven't seen Devon's YouTube channel, check it out. His stuff is flat out amazing. So what I want is your top 5 tips to help the region really get more from a smartphone camera. And since video is your expertise, lay it on us. What's your first tip?
All right, so first tip would definitely have to be the way that you frame your shot.
Okay.
So you can have the best subject, but if that shot is framed badly, it's not going to look aesthetically pleasing.
Right.
So the first tip is to definitely frame your shot. So in framing your shot, there's these grid lines you can turn on your smartphone. You'll see them overlaid on the video right now. So you look at each point where these lines intersect, and you should try to put your subject on those focus points. So for example, if I'm shooting him, I'll make sure one of his eyes are on one of those intersections, and it just makes for a more aesthetically pleasing looking shot. You could use, there's another thing you can look of, which is called the rule of thirds, which means you put your client off to the left side of the frame, to the right side of the frame, or dead center. If you want to use this, definitely need to use the intersections. So the center of the client would be on the left intersections, center of the client would be to the right intersections, or you put the client in the dead center.
Okay. I know a lot of the times when we're watching videos shot from smartphones, when you see, sometimes you see videos and you don't even know what people are actually shooting. So definitely learning how to frame and using those intersection lines, and we're definitely going to show you how to do that. It's definitely something that you guys got to keep in mind when shooting your videos. Second up, what is your next tip?
Second tip would definitely be the way you handle focus and exposure.
Okay.
So let's say we're shooting a video of maybe you, and we move that camera a little bit. If you're moving around, you would see the focus and exposure changing on the smartphone, because the smartphone is trying to automatically find the best lighting conditions and kind of fix the video to suit that.
Okay.
However, if you want your video to look a certain way, the best thing to do is lock that focus and exposure. The way you do this is just touch and hold on your smartphone, and most modern smartphones, it just locks the exposure and focus. So that means you won't see the exposure going bright and dark depending on if you move the camera, and you wouldn't see it kind of tracking to try and grab focus.
So for the people who might not know the terminology, what do we refer to when we talk about exposure?
Okay, so in terms of exposure, you talk about the lighting of the video. Okay. So for example, if this video is a little too bright, you would see this table kind of glowing up in our faces. You would see some highlights, which is like the white points of the photo kind of blown out. It doesn't look good then.
Okay, and that's what we would call overexposed.
Overexposed.
And underexposed is
if it's too dark, if like your beard and my beard just look completely black.
Okay, and then for the focus, we mean, when we talk about a subject in focus, what do we mean?
We mean that the actual focus plane, we mean like, for example, this video is focused on both of us. Right. So if the camera was perfectly framed on both of us right now, but the focus was on the picture and we were a little bit blurred out, it wouldn't be good to look at either.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so tip number 3.
Tip number 3 is audio. So you should definitely pay attention to the audio when you're recording video. You can have the best looking video, but if the audio isn't that good, it doesn't make for good media consumption then. Yeah. So a little tip I have is if you're around noise, if you're in a noisy area, it's best to try and kind of move from that area if it's possible. And another little hack you can use is you can actually plug in the AirPods that come with your device in the box, and use the microphone on that AirPods as sort of like a clip-on mic, like we use this one right here. So that way it would take the audio from the mic itself and not the phone mic, which means you get a lot more closer to the audio focus then. So it gives like a much better audio experience.
Okay. Now, if we're in loud noise, like we know carnival season's coming up, a lot of people are going to be recording their favorite artists when they go to these parties and they want to capture some of those moments, capture some of those sounds. What's the best way to film in a noisy area like that? Because I know we want to get away from the noise, but we also know that these people are going to be filming inside the noise. So what's the best thing to do if you're going to be filming at a fest?
So in a situation like this, you have people around you making noise, the music system is loud, you just have loudness all over. Now in this environment, the smartphone would find the best audio levels to stay at. So that's, if you shout at your smartphone camera, you realize it actually records soft.
Yeah.
So once the environment is loud, it would readjust the audio to suit you. But the biggest thing you should keep in mind in those kind of situations, stop moving your hand on your phone too much.
Okay.
So you hold the phone in one position. Let me see your phone. So you hold the phone like this. Make sure your hand isn't blocking any of the mics, and you keep your hand like this. Don't try to, like, you know, find the perfect thing, so because you'll hear all those things in the video. So you hold it one place, and you move your hand how you have to move it, and that doesn't actually affect the sound in any way.
Gotcha. You heard it here. Tip number 4.
Alright, so tip number 4 is another one to do with lighting, and it's to ensure that you shoot against natural light. So basically, if you're shooting something, try to make sure that that subject is facing the light. So for example, if there was sunlight behind us right now, you wouldn't see us, we would be shadows. So basically, have your subject turned towards the light, so the light is shining on them.
Okay.
Yes, right. So if you have natural light, the best thing to do is natural light. If you have a window, you could go shoot close to the window. If you have any source of light, just to shoot on that subject, it makes it much better to look at.
Okay. So if you're inside, you want to be away from the window.
If you're inside, you want to be close to the window, with the subject close to the window.
Gotcha. No problem. Tip number 5.
Tip number 5 is if you want to go, like, if you want to take it on next level, you want to get your smartphone videos looking professional and not just handheld and stuff, is to definitely invest in a tripod mount for your smartphone.
Yes.
So this is a cheap little plastic thing that just grabs your phone in it and mounts it to a tripod perfectly. Now when you do this, you can actually pan left and right perfectly smooth. You can pan up and down perfectly smooth. And even if you have like a stabilizer that you use for a camera, you could just mount your smartphone and adapt it to any sort of camera gear that you have. And that would really help take your smartphone videography to the next level.
Okay. Now, I have a couple of questions for you. Because there's some terms that we keep hearing that these manufacturers talking about, and I want to get your opinion on that.
Okay.
What's better, electronic image stabilization or optical image stabilization?
Alright, so both are actually great pieces of technology, but the better one would definitely have to be optical image stabilization.
Okay.
Now,
why is that one better over the...
Okay, so with electronic image stabilization, your smartphone records a plane of video, which would be 1920 by 1080 if you're shooting in full HD.
Okay.
And the electronic stabilization would slightly zoom into that frame to kind of account for any shakes that you might have.
So it's software based?
Right, so it's software based. Now with the optical image stabilization, the actual camera lens, hardware wise, actually moves to account for that shake. So you have a much more accurate form of stabilization and a much more, like, you would trust it more than a piece of software stabilizing your footage when you actually have it hardware before it actually records onto the device.
So it's kind of bouncing up and down inside the lens. Okay. Smartphone gimbals, is it a gimmick or is this something that people really want to take their stuff to the next level?
No,
is that a good investment?
Yeah, it's 100% a good investment.
Okay.
Now, with a gimbal, you would actually, the shots you would get from this is like, you'd call it like a crane shot. This is where the camera is moving through a shot perfectly steady. Once you buy a good quality gimbal, you would see the difference. From the time you hit record, you would notice the difference. It makes a huge difference. It's definitely not a gimmick.
So if you're running with a gimbal versus using something like just optical image stabilization.
Yeah, it takes it to a whole new level. That would be a perfectly straight shot once you're using a gimbal.
Okay. On smartphones, is it better to film at 4K or is it better to film at 1080p at like the 60 frames per second?
Alright, so like in this situation, it would really be dependent on the person. So let's say you have like a 32 gig or a 16 gig device. You wouldn't want to be recording 4K footage on that because your space, it'll just eat up your space. However, if you have the space for it and you're trying to decide whether you should shoot 1080 or 4K, you'd have the upside of using 4K on a smartphone is you would have more space to digitally zoom into the video itself.
Okay.
So like if
we record more
pixel information. So for example, with a 4K image, we would be able to zoom into you without any quality loss digitally after the fact.
Okay.
However, if you do that with a 1080p frame, it would get a little fuzzy because you actually zoom in. It's like digital zooming into an image then. The more you zoom in, the more blurry it gets. You have a higher resolution video to play with.
Okay, so if you have a smartphone and space is not a problem, is it always better to shoot in 4K?
Yeah, I would say so. My opinion personally, higher the quality, the better the video looks in general.
Gotcha. So guys, there you have it. Devon, thanks for joining us in the class.
Thanks for having me.
And you guys will join us in the next one. Take care.